hello. How's everybody doing? Okay, so let's start off with why. Why do we, at the end of the year or beginning of the year, suddenly make major changes in our lives? Why does this arbitrary date make us consider making major life changes? We're going to lose 40 pounds. I'm going to make $100,000 this year. And it's always in January that we make these major life changes or commitments to ourselves. So refresh is an interesting word in that it's not a reboot, it's not a restart, it's a refresh, right? So when I Googled refresh, because, we Google things, first thing I got was a whole bunch of arrows. So apparently this year, we need to have a lot of arrows in our life, or we need to spin around in circles or something, because that's how it's going to be refreshing in our world. Next was, we need to be into a field with our arms wide, looking off into the distance, okay, because that's going to help our lives right now. We're all in fields, running around. Everything's happy. There's flowers. We're having flower thoughts. It's great. Or apparently we're going to have an adversarial relationship with a fan at our house. Okay, so this is kind of a, beware this year the ides of fans in your life. So when I was doing this research, I came across one image that for me really resonated. And this picture, I want it to be my theme for this year. Okay? Am I allowed to swear? Yes, okay. All right, so bucket. I'm hot, I'm getting cold. What's the bucket for? I'm not telling you what the bucket is for. My face is in the sprinkler. Right? I love this attitude. By the way, she's mooning you. All right? So this is kind of a badass way to enter 2019. Okay, so refresh. The word itself, it's a verb. And the definition is give new strength or energy to reinvigorate. So I think that's a really good word to use. It's a really good time of year, even if we're going to fight the idea that, well, it's January, we have to do some kind of a major change in our life. If we look at refresh as an alternative word, there's less baggage with it. It's less heavy. And it's a verb, okay? It's not a passive word. It's an action word. We have to do something. We're not sitting on the couch waiting impatiently for Game of Thrones to start with our popcorn and whatever else, right? For something great to happen in our lives. We're waiting for that refresh to happen. Things are going to change. It's going to be awesome, right? Not if you're on your couch. Okay, you've got to get out there. You've got to do something. It's active, not passive. Okay? Refresh is not a reboot or a restart. Far too many times we try to make drastic changes. These strategies are doomed to fail. They require too much energy, and while we begin strong, we slowly lose steam and stop. That's why so many diets fail, and we end up putting on more weight at the end. Why there's so many homes with exercise equipment that is now a closet for clothes. Show of hands. Come on, we're all friends here. Okay? So this is the problem when we look at New Year's and we make these huge resolutions and we're going to reboot our life, we're going to restart our life. These are dramatic changes, and they're not sustainable. Okay, they're uncomfortable, they take work. Refresh is also not to be taken lightly. We're not just taking some Febreze and making our life smell like a lovely meadow in spring. Okay? So it's in between there. We don't take it too lightly, but it's also not as serious as the other two were. So what refresh to me means is it means small, sustainable, and incremental. Okay? It's not a reboot, it's not a restart. These are things that are sustainable, they're incremental. You build on them. There's things that you can do today that's not going to completely disrupt your life, but it's going to give you a little bit of a change. So, refresh. This word is very important in my life. It's important for me to be challenged, to be engaged. If I don't stop every now and then to reassess, I become complacent, comfortable. When I'm in this state, I stop learning, I stop moving forward. Everything around us is moving, therefore we need to keep moving. Life isn't static. Okay, and it's not just for what I do for a living. I have to be current, up to date, and know what's going on, and have fresh, new ideas. But also as a person, I don't like complacency. I don't like getting too comfortable. Because once we do, it becomes very easy just to sit there and let life go through. And we're no longer a participant, we're a passenger. And again, to me, the small incremental changes that we make in our lives can give us some big impact on our outlook and where we're going. Good, you? All right, how many times have you said that today? Today. Right, how are you? Good, you? Right, so a refresh ensures that we won't become complacent, get too comfortable, normalcy, good enough, where nothing is necessarily wrong, but there's nothing right either. Over time, this will kill your spirit, and while we feel okay, there's an underlying unhappiness. We're unfulfilled and start to regret and become bitter. Make sense? It happens. We get comfortable. It's easy. It's familiar. Change is hard. So we get into a life of good enough, good you. And when I describe branding and the work that I do, I would describe a brand that's good enough as tragically competent. Okay? There's nothing wrong with it. Like even bad design gets noticed. Great design gets noticed. But the stuff in the middle just becomes noise. It's forgotten easily, and it's not memorable. Therefore, it's tragically competent. And we can get into that pattern ourselves, where we're just existing. And again, because it's familiar, because it's something that we're used to, it's harder to detect. But there is, and your friends and family might say, what's wrong? You're like, nothing, I'm good. Right? But if you stop and think about it, yeah, there is something. And it's just this pattern that keeps repeating itself. I'm not moving forward, I'm not progressing. But Rob, how do I refresh? Thank you for asking. I'm glad you asked. Step 1, get some perspective, okay? So pause, breathe, take the time to disengage. No internet, social media, or phone. Oh my God, it is possible. Don't panic, we're all together here. Shut off the noise. This isn't a detox. Can we, as a society, stop fucking detoxing? What the hell is that about? I'm going to detox. That's great. Okay? Stop detoxing. Re-engage with yourself, your beliefs, your desires, your goals. No one else gets selfish. So the idea here is we can get so stuck in our routine, in our daily going to work, breakfast, things like that, in our routines, that we forget ourselves. We get lost in the stream of life going through. And if we don't take that moment to pause, to think, to engage with our own beliefs in that, and remind ourselves who we are as a person, we're going to get into that pattern again, and people aren't going to interact with us as much as before because it's same old, right? So we need to get in touch with ourselves. Why? What gets me up in the morning? What am I excited about? Okay, I'm in, third year at Algonquin. What got me taking this course in September? Hello? What got me taking this course 2 years ago? Why am I still here? You're going through your routine. You're learning in your classes. You're doing your homework. You're getting good marks. So again, nothing on the surface is wrong, but you're not happy. You're not engaged, okay? Because you're into that rut. So you need to take some time. And I'm not saying this isn't like I'm going to Tibet, giving up all of my worldly possessions, and I'm going to live in a yurt. Isn't yurt a cool name? I like that. Right? So again, don't think dramatic. Good example is first-year medical students are taught, when you hear hoofbeats, don't think zebra, think horse. Okay? And this is particularly for ER interns. The thing is, when somebody presents in the ER with a stomach issue, don't think colon cancer. Don't think some strange disease or something. They may have just had bad sushi. Okay? So we tend to overcomplicate as a society, and personally, we overcomplicate our lives, right? And so we think of these massive things and massive change, and if we just sit down, have a tea, maybe a kombucha, maybe a local brew, and just relax. Sit in a comfy chair. Rob, I don't have a comfy chair. Go to IKEA and get a comfy chair. Okay, it's not rocket science. All right, we need a nice little chair, no internet, no Netflix. Just sit, have your tea, have whatever, and just breathe and relax. Step 2, clean out your closet. Once you've taken the time to get reconnected to your purpose or passion, look for what doesn't fit. Those things hold you back and don't serve you. An example might be getting rid of the television in your bedroom, charge your phone in the kitchen instead of the nightstand, or maybe literally clean out your closet. So again, we're talking small little changes, right? Oh, I always charge my phone on the nightstand. How about you do it in the kitchen? Then you're not going to automatically grab for it. You wake up at 3 in the morning, you're like, oh, let's see what's happening in the world. They're asleep, so should you. All right? So it's in the kitchen. So if the phone rings, it's important, get up, answer the phone. Same with the television in the bedroom. Okay, but it's nice. I got my pillow. I'm going to watch This Is Us. Have some tea, right? And that becomes a habit, and we form these habits, and so the ritual becomes, I come home, I took my stuff off, drop my bag, I go in, jump into bed, turn on the TV, and 3 hours goes by, and I've done nothing. So change it up. Move the TV into the living room, or get rid of the TV in the bedroom, leave it in the living room, so when you decide to watch something, it's a conscious decision. I'm going to go watch this show. And you go and do it. Instead of, well, it's there, I'm just going to do something, right? Change it up. Little things have big impact. Get up an hour earlier. Commit to not eating after 8 p.m. Take a different route to school or work. Small, seemingly simple changes re-engage your mind. You're no longer going through the motions. So even, like I said, take a different route to work or school. Well, suddenly you're seeing different things than you see every day. So your brain's like, wait, I don't remember that tree. My mind does that. So suddenly you're engaged. I do this exercise when I do creative seminars and workshops. And one of the things I do is we have a first session, and then everybody takes a break. And what I do is I move all of the chairs out. So when they come back into the room, there's no chairs. and I watch the reactions, and everybody comes in and they don't know what to do. And they're looking around and they're looking down, and some people look on the ceiling. And I don't know in what universe the chairs would be hiding on the ceiling. But anyways. And once everybody's in and they stop and I say, okay, so what has just happened? And they said, well, we're looking for our chairs. And I said, more importantly, what's happened is you're expecting, or your expectation is, you're gonna come into the room, your chair is there, you're gonna sit down and you're gonna start taking notes. I did one little thing. I took the chairs out. And now you're 100% engaged in why we're here and what we're doing. Your brain is problem solving, even if it's a little misdirected by looking for chairs on the ceiling. Okay? Small incremental steps, little things can make huge, huge differences. And I'm not here to tell you what those specifically are. I use the television in the bedroom thing because that bugs the shit out of me. And I use the charging the phone because that's a little change that I made because I realized in myself, it's like, oh, I'm not quite tired yet. 3 hours later, right? Or if I had just sat and maybe meditated or just closed my eyes or sang a song or something like that, I would have fallen asleep a lot earlier. So for myself personally, that little change made a big difference. I mentioned getting up an hour earlier. I'm not a morning person at all. But getting up an hour earlier is like, oh, I can get all this crap done. And now I'm not stressed. I'm not rushing. Suddenly I have this extra hour. I'm like, wow, luxury. Basically, I'm saying, let it go. You didn't think I was going to sing, right? Ooh. All right, just let it go. Relax. But I don't have the time. Okay, this is an excuse, and the only one responsible for this is you. We spend so much time doing busy work as an excuse not to commit to change. It's easy, change is hard, but you're worth it. Besides, who else is going to do it for you? Okay, so how many people, when you've got a major project or something coming up, it's suddenly phoning people, emailing people, rearranging your desk, collecting up the Tupperware in the kitchen to wash it up. Suddenly these tasks become super important, right? So now we're putting these things off. So changes like changing your weight or changing your career or things like that. We do the same thing. We distract the shit out of ourselves. We find any excuse not to do it. Even laundry. And again, this is a verb. It's active, not passive, and you're the one driving the bus. You're the one in charge. You're the one in direction, right? Nobody's going to do it for you. This is not that couch exercise where you're waiting for shit to happen. You got to get up and do something. Now we're back to here. So, the biggest thing, I'm so in love with this picture. The biggest thing I think we need to do this year is to hit 2019 head first with a bucket, and if somebody asks you what the bucket's for, you say, it's none of your business. Thank you.